For thousands of years, one particular mushroom has been seen as this key to a long and healthy life. Today, we're going to put those ancient claims under the microscope. We're going to explore the incredible journey of the reishi mushroom, from the sacred herb to the subject of modern clinical research. And we're going to ask one big question. What does science really have to say about its role in prostate health?
You know, in China, it's called Lingzhi. And that name literally combines the idea of spiritual power with the essence of immortality. Pretty cool, right? For over 2,000 years, this mushroom, Ganoderma lucidum, has been deeply revered all across Asia. And it's not just as a medicine, but as this powerful symbol of success, well-being, and a long, vibrant life.
So, that brings us to the big question for today. Can this legendary fungus, which was first written about in pharmacopoeias way back in 25 AD, actually offer some real solutions for a very modern health concern, like prostate health? Well, let's find out.
Okay, let's dive right in. To really understand the modern science, you first have to appreciate the incredible history and legend behind this mushroom. It's quite a story. I mean, Rishi's journey is just fascinating. It starts out as this almost mythical substance, described in the world's earliest medical texts. For centuries, it was so incredibly rare that pretty much only emperors and the nobility could ever get their hands on it. But then, in the 1970s, everything changed. We finally figured out how to cultivate it, and that transformed reishi from a treasure for the few into a supplement that's now available all over the world.
All right, so now that we've got the history down, let's pop the hood and look at the biology. What exactly is going on inside reishi that has captured the attention of both ancient healers and today's scientists?
Okay, so let me introduce you to the potential star of the show, polysaccharides. Now, these are not your simple, everyday sugars. They're these long, really complex carbohydrate molecules. In the reishi mushroom, these compounds are thought to be one of the main engines driving its health effects, and they are a huge focus of the scientific research we're about to get into.
So how might this all work when it comes to prostate health? Well, here's the leading theory, and it's all about an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. The easiest way to think about this enzyme is like a supercharger on an engine. It takes regular testosterone and it converts it into DHT, which is a much more potent hormone that is known to drive prostate growth. The big idea here is that compounds in reishi might act like a roadblock, basically inhibiting that enzyme and throttling down the production of that supercharged DHT.
That's a really compelling theory, isn't it? But does it actually hold up when you test it in a lab? Let's take a look at some of the early-stage evidence.
And what the lab found was pretty striking. In a 2005 study, researchers basically had a showdown between extracts from 19 different medicinal mushrooms. They wanted to see which one was the best at blocking that key 5-alpha reductase enzyme. And the clear winner? Yep, it was reishi. It showed the most powerful inhibitory effect of them all.
And the evidence didn't just stop in a test tube. The same researchers took the next logical step and tested the reishi extract in rats. And what they found was that it significantly slowed down the prostate growth that was being caused by testosterone. Now, this was a huge finding because it showed the effect wasn't just a theory, it actually worked in a living system.
Okay, so we've got really promising lab work, for sure. But here's the critical leap, the million-dollar question. How do these findings translate from lab rats to actual people living their day-to-day lives?
To find a clue, we need to turn to a completely different kind of science. We're talking about a massive population study from Japan. So instead of giving people an extract, researchers simply tracked the dietary habits of over 36,000 men for more than a decade. They just wanted to see if there was any connection between eating mushrooms and the risk of prostate cancer.
And the results? Well, they were really striking. The study found that the men who ate mushrooms 3 or more times per week had a 17% lower risk of developing prostate cancer, compared to the guys who ate them less than once a week. And you know, this wasn't just some on or off switch. As this chart clearly shows, the data revealed a really interesting trend. The more frequently the men ate mushrooms, the lower their relative risk of prostate cancer seemed to go. It's a pretty clear dose-response relationship.
Okay, so we've got promising lab work on reishi, and we've got this positive population study on mushrooms in general. Things are looking good. But, and this is a really big but, we have to introduce a crucial dose of clinical reality, because there's a huge difference between eating mushrooms as part of your diet and using a concentrated extract as a medical treatment. To see what I mean, let's look at a clinical trial that tested an extract, this time from a different mushroom, shiitake, as a direct therapy.
This slide really just lays it all out, the stark contrast between the hope and the reality. A clinical trial put a specific polysaccharide extract, similar to the compounds found in reishi, but from shiitake mushrooms, to the test. The goal was to see if it could treat men who had prostate cancer by lowering their PSA levels. That was the hope. But the result? The extract was found to be ineffective. It's a sobering reminder that a promising theory in one mushroom doesn't always translate to a proven therapy in another.
So, where does this leave us? We've got lab data that's basically screaming yes, a diet study that's a pretty strong maybe, and then a clinical trial that's a firm no. So how do we put all these different pieces of the puzzle together? Let's break it down.
So here's the bottom line. The science is complex and it's still unfolding. We have a very clear mechanism from lab studies that shows how reishi could work, and we have a huge population study suggesting a correlation, not causation, but a correlation between eating mushrooms and having a lower cancer risk. But we also have a clinical trial that shows a specific polysaccharide extract from a similar mushroom just plain failed as a direct treatment. So the big takeaway here? Based on the current human evidence we have, reishi is not a proven medical treatment or preventative for prostate cancer.
And that leaves us with one final thought. While scientists are going to keep digging into the specific compounds in reishi to see if they hold potential as future therapies, its 2,000-year history as a valued food and its place within a healthy, varied diet, well, that remains as strong as it ever was.